is Metalgen, and welcome to another tank review. Today we are looking at the Tier 7 Czech medium tank, the Konstruktka T-34 100, for short T-34 100, which is pretty much what this is. Czech version of the, or Czechoslovakian version of the Russian T-34 with a 100mm gun at Tier 7. Otherwise, there's nothing really to say about it. 45 frontal, 55 here. Super important. And then you have 90 turret, which might not feel like a lot, but this turret is actually pretty good for a tier 7 medium for the fact that you don't really expect it to have any armor. It has quite a wide auto bounce angle, as you can see here, so you don't really want to fuck with this if you can. Like, you always want to aim for the flat part and not go for these kind of shots because they're not going to do anything. You have a huge asket pole also that doesn't help, but I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. Also, is this like a fucking spaced armor here? Let's see. Yep, that's spaced armor. I guess there's a track link on the turret. Fucking epic. Alright, whatever. There's no armor really to talk about here, so let's just look at the gun depression, which is 5 to the front, 4 to the back. Kind of to be expected on a tank like this. And, yeah, let's go to the replay and let's stop wasting time. And here is the game, but before any action really begins, let's talk about the stats. So 1100 health, pretty good for tier 7. 370 view range, meh. It could be better, it could definitely be worse though for a tank like this. Top speed forwards 54, reverse 20, power to weight 15.41, track traverse 38, and turret traverse 40. Comparing it to something like a T-34-1, for the most part this tank is pretty much better in every way, apart from obviously you have less turret armor, you're a higher profile, and you have slightly worse power to weight, even though the terrain resistance is better by a bit, so it kind of evens out in that aspect. Then we come to the weaponry, the same thing here, 1764 DPM, 250 damage, 175 pen, aim time 2.4, and accuracy 0.38. And comparing that to the T-34-1, the Konstruktka is just better in every way possible. The aiming time is much better, so is the accuracy, but at the same time, the T-34-1 really shines with its small profile and good turret armor, which obviously is the two things this tank cannot be proud about. And when we talk tier 7 mediums in general, the tier 7s are all fucking terrible. The tier 7 mediums are probably the most underwhelming thing to play in this game. You can name like 2 of them that are not terrible if you load shitload of gold ammo, and even then, like, that's not really a way to judge a tank, is it then? And in that bunch, the Konstruktka fits just right in. The gun is pretty underwhelming, it aims pretty badly, it doesn't reload particularly fast, your DPM is pretty low, but at the same time, comparing it to something like a T-20, T-34-1, it is slightly better than both of those in pretty much every way, but like, for instance, gun depression against T-20 and turret armor against T-34-1, but overall this is a well-rounded medium with 240 alpha. I mean, it is going to perform way worse than like full APCR Comet, but when you're in a bad matchmaking, you'd rather be in this than a Comet if you don't shoot gold with that shit, that is. Before we forget, let's talk about the equipment. So rammer, binos, and last equipment pieces, either between gun length drive or ventilation. You can use any. Gun length drive is arguably the better choice here, as the gun does have quite an obvious problem with actually aiming straight. And binos over optics, because 370 view range isn't really enough to support optics unless you have an insane crew, and it's a bit unlikely that you'll have an insane crew for a tier 7 Czech medium tank. And for the crew skills, this tank doesn't require any special attention, it's the usual shit, the smooth right snapshot, repair, 6 sense, brother snaps when you can afford it, and so on. The general playstyle, this is pretty damn standard for a Russian medium, well, until tier 9 at least. You don't rely on your armor too much, you try to stay hull down, and obviously you try to trade with tanks that have less alpha damage than you, and try not to be caught out in the open, because your DPM here is pretty bad. Penetration wise, this tank is pretty competitive with pretty much any tier 7 that you can think of, so that is not really an issue. Obviously you have the heat shells if you need them for tier 9s, or if you're just a pansy who loads them for anything, that's also fine. So far in this game we made a full out of that MT-25, not really sure what he was thinking, and then cleaned up this flank. Worked pretty well. I mean, it did fuck up a shot on the Tiger 1, but shit happens, and it was auto aim on the moves. With a gun like this, it's not really surprising to miss shots like that. And for my last trick in this game, I'm just gonna set up my binos and try to spot all these camping morons and try to get shitload of experience for it and get an ace tanker badge, because I haven't done shit so far, so this better be it. Another thing that definitely needs to be mentioned is that this stock grind on this tank is fucking terrible, as you're stuck with a gun that has 126 pen from the tier 6, so you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible, and you might want to use some free XP for that. We did spot a lot of camping morons, I guess you could call them, so we should get quite a bit of spotting here. Again, just trying to set up my binos and spot the Tiger P now, and the Panthers will, if they shoot me, I spot them as well. I mean, Tiger P is the worst shot here by far, so I should just shoot the fluffy little Panther in 10s. Another obnoxiously terrible tier 7 medium tank there. And if you go for the general comparisons, if you compare this to the rest of the fucking crap that is in this tier, this is not as bad as it might seem. It has a lot of disadvantages, like the bad aiming time, the generally bad DPM compared to something like a Comet, but at the same time, your high alpha damage makes your trades a bit more efficient against tanks that are equal tier or lower tier, so you can get away with that quite often. So it's not all bad here at all, and at the end of the grind I actually kind of got used to the tank and didn't hate it as much as I would have thought I will. But at the same time, most other people that I play with have absolutely hated this tank, so approach my opinion with caution, as I do tend to like these kind of higher alpha tanks at pretty much any tier and every chance I can get him. It's not like I really like this tank, but as I said, it wasn't as terrible as I would have imagined it to be. This game is a really good example on why you should never go to the K line in any tanks, really. I mean, even in mediums. Light tanks, arguably, it's not the worst thing you could ever do, but at the same time, it's a really low impact play, as you can see by all these people that just sit here and do nothing. And it happens quite a lot. I mean, in higher tier games, you usually don't have heavy tanks going here, but sometimes you still see it, and it's really bad for you and your team to do that, so don't do it. And now I can just finish off my farming duties here. There's so many things to farm that it's not even funny. Skoda T-40 isn't really a threat for me either, especially when he just drives out in the open like that. It's not going to be a problem for me to kill him. So the Lux is in the cap circle, so this game is probably going to end in the cap, but we can just make sure that we do quite a bit of damage before we die. I should really turn around and shoot the other fucker, as he is a one-shot, but I was not paying attention. So, you know, we do feel our gunner and do still kill him, but could have done that a bit more efficiently than I did. Now the Tiger, again, like, just making this gun do its work. The damage does add up, and the DPM for a gun that has this kind of alpha damage at this tier isn't all that terrible. And yeah, that is the game. It sadly ends in the cap, but there's no way we would make... Well, maybe I would have made it to the looks, but with the dead commander, I might have not even spotted him, so whatever, we cap, we win. Serious then played 3,672 experience, ace tanker, tank sniper, high caliber, top gun, 4,007 damage done, so I did do some blind damage. I wasn't really paying enough attention to tell where and why. 1,603 damage assisted as well. Not really a game to be super proud of, as we worked up here, and like half of their team were playing like absolute idiots, but you know, we did what we needed to win, and we got 1,632 base experience, which isn't too bad. But the general conclusion on the T-34 100 is that it's not the worst tier 7 medium tank around. Tier 7 medium tanks in general are terrible though, which makes this tank terrible as well, but at the same time it has its moments, and the high alpha damage at least makes you have something going for you which you can work around. That being said, the stock grind is fucking terrible on this, so you might want to consider spending some free XP on this. Hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I will see you on the next one.